Hey, ¿qué pasa, Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank my friends here at Calexico Brewing Company for allowing me to record today's episode. I really appreciate it and enjoy, being here and talking to my guest. And today, we have a special guest. He's here to talk about, something that's on the ballot and these upcoming elections. And it's informational. You make sure that the community knows what's about and why you should vote on it. So my guest today is Dr. Lennor Johnson. Thank you for the president of IVC. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I want to start by thanking you and your staff, reaching out. I think that this election season and even in June, I've been super busy. More people are listening to the podcast and it shows when, I don't have to reach out and because when I was telling you earlier is that when I first started, I kind of had to beg some of the candidates to be on because they didn't know what a podcast was or who I was. But your staff and other people who have reached out during this election season, reaching out to be here and talking about, whether it's a measure, whether it's them as a candidate, it's showing that people are listening and they're seeing this as a platform to know and to learn about the election. So I want to thank you and your staff for reaching out.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting. You are the talk of the town, so we want to make sure that we get the chance to have this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. So before we get into, why you're here, I want to talk to you and see, learn a little bit about yourself. We're talking about, where you're from and how you got here before we started recording, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Like I said, first of all, where you come from, because, people might not know that you're not from the Valley. So tell us a little bit about where you come from and growing up and stuff like that.
Yeah. Actually, no, I'm not from the Valley, but I have been here for over 6 years now. So I feel like of course, I'll never, quote unquote, be from the Valley, but I feel like I'm at home. The community is incredible. I work for an incredible institution. And I just have been loving it every day since I've been here. Even before I even started, I loved it. But actually, I'm originally from Chicago. Born and raised there. This is actually the third time I'm living in Southern California. When I decided to move back to California, I did not want to live in San Diego. A little bit too pricey, and I didn't want to live on the coast. I wanted to find somewhere, maybe in Temecula or the surrounding areas of San Diego, Southern California. And I just got lucky. Honestly, I just got lucky. An opportunity opened up at Imperial Valley College. I interviewed and met some great people, Dr. Jaime as well as Dr. Garcia. They thought highly of me and brought me on board as Dean of Student Services.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about, Dr. Garcia, some of the things that she's done. But one of the most important things that she did was hire you, as, like I said, as Dean. So, and you worked your way up as Dean. Can you tell us a little bit about, that transition and, how you got to where you are right now?
Yeah. When I interviewed, at that moment, I met Dr. Garcia. And then she reached out to me later and said that she was very impressed. She thought that I'll be a great fit for the team and for the campus. So she worked with me through it was about a 6-month working, going back and forth and having good conversations about bringing me on board as an interim. And everything she was telling me about the institution, all the great things that they were doing and what she was planning as far as the prison program and just so many great things. It really perked my interest and my curiosity. And then, I started, and we just did some great work. I mean, Dr. Garcia, she's a go-getter. She's a risk taker. She's going to get it done. Her passion is for the students and the well-being of the community, which was 100% aligned with my passion and interest. So we just clicked it off. And I honestly thought it was like a Batman and Robin or Wonder Woman and Batman. We just really kicked it off and we did a lot of good work together. She had the vision. The vision for the prison program, the vision for the basic needs initiative, the housing project. And I was her right-hand person. So when she moved up to president, she pulled me up to vice president. And then when she decided to leave, you know, I cried like a baby. I was like, please don't go, please don't go. But she tapped me, as well as the board. They tapped me and said, you know, they thought it was my time to continue some of the great work that Dr. Garcia and Dr. Jaime started.
Can you tell us a little bit about because I mean, I know there's, you know, the tiny houses or the homeless project in El Centro. Tell us a little bit about that project, because I know that it's there, but I don't really know how it works or you know. Yeah,
well, it started basically. We conducted a survey probably in 2017. And that's when we just surveyed, because it was a few students who we knew that they were homeless or dealing with some food insecurities. So he's like, let's investigate this more. So we surveyed roughly about 300 students. No, more than that. It was about 1,000 students. But out of that 1,000 students, about 200 plus said that they were either dealing with food insecurity or housing insecurity. And one family in particular, a husband and wife, were living in their cars. At that point, you know, Dr. Garcia and the team, we all said, we got to do something about this, because this is a problem. We have great intellectual students. Like this family, I think the female had about a 3.5 GPA and the male had a 3.0. Now, we know in Imperial Valley, living in your car and going to school at the same time and maintaining that type of academic excellence is impossible long term. Yeah. You can only do that for a semester or two before the wheels will fall off, literally. So at that point, we started really investing in our food. We started our basic needs kitchen, our IVC kitchen pantry. We started looking for housing opportunities, and Dr. Garcia was out front trying to, she had this concept about the tiny home project. I think there was another school, I think in Oregon, that had some tiny homes dedicated for students. So she started actively looking into that. Looking for different resources, because of course that was going to be always the biggest challenge, finding someone to finance it. We got lucky. We had a pilot program with all these conversations out in the community. Right when the pandemic started, the county reached out to us and donated, I think, 12 trailers. So this gave us an opportunity to house students, get that ball rolling, come up with some of our practices and, lease agreements and all that stuff to see how to test the waters. And then right after we got the trailers, we got the grant working with the city. The city got the city of El Centro got a grant from the state, I think about $3 million to start the tiny homes in collaboration with IVC, or IVC, the foundation. And that's where it came. And we got 26 tiny homes. Since we started, we have always kept those homes filled. The students have seen tremendous success, absolutely tremendous. I mean, GPAs went from 1.0 to like 2.5. I mean, and students are transitioning in and transitioning out and getting jobs, graduating. You name it, it is a huge, huge success. And so now the next endeavor is we're working with San Diego State because we plan to expand our housing program. We did receive a grant, but now we're just trying to figure that out, the finances and so forth. And hopefully within 2 to 3 years, we'll have some more houses for our most vulnerable students.
Yeah, and it's something that surprised, I think, not only me, but a lot of people, that, you know, you have college students who are homeless. And you know, looking into it, you know, the reality is that, you know, it's not only IVC, it's, you know, universities that have homeless students that might spend a night in the library or in the school parking lot because they can't afford, you know, homes. And housing here in the Valley isn't as, you know, it's getting expensive, but it isn't as expensive as, say, let's say San Diego or San Francisco. You know, and you know, it's amazing that such a a quote unquote small college like IVC is doing things like this because, like I said, like I'm an IVC alum, and I don't think I ever met or talked to any of my classmates that was struggling with. Maybe they didn't share it, but I mean that's the reality. They are students who are struggling with food or housing, and working in education. I know that we do have students as well in the lower levels that are also homeless. So it's amazing that we're able to pilot some of these things, that we're an example to other bigger universities, that they can feed off what we're doing. And yeah.
You know what, this I have been in higher ed for the last 25 years, so this is not new. I'm going to be honest with you. Students being homeless, students being food insecure is very, very, very common. The difference, and that's one thing I absolutely love about Imperial Valley, is we act. Again, back to that family concept. We come together. I have never been within, working in higher ed for so long, I have never worked so closely with the cities, worked so close with the county office of education, worked so closely with all these different entities across, and everyone have a genuine interest in making things happen. And I think that's the beauty of it. We see gaps and we work together, we come together as a unit, and then come up with some solutions. I think that's so profound, and like I said, that's one of the many things that I love about Imperial Valley and Imperial Valley College, and that's one of the reasons why we're a top 10 institution, because of our collaboration, because of our innovation, our ability to work with everyone and find solutions to these complex problems.
Yeah, and to me, being somebody that's an alum from IVC, it's something that, it's something to be proud of, that, we're able to work as a community and make sure that, we're not only producing, students that can go out into the, workforce and be productive and successful, but, we're making sure that, they have a place, a safe place where they can, learn, not only on campus, but, outside, make sure that, they're, because, having somewhere a quiet place where you can go and sleep, shower, eat, and study is really important to, becoming a successful student. Yeah. And IVC is doing it. And it's an honor to, I don't think a lot of people know that I graduated from IVC, especially because when I graduated, social media wasn't, that kind of, I turned 40 in March, so I'm going to be almost 41. So, I grew up with social media, but back then it wasn't like a huge thing. So, and I don't think I have it on my bio, but I'm an IVC alum, and, and it's something that it makes me proud to see the things that the college I went to is doing, and you, like you said, you were here as an assistant president, or was it vice president? Vice president, yes. When all this was going on, but you're a huge part of it, and something that you're continuing even after Dr. Garcia left, and also Dr. Jaime. Is it Dr. Jaime?
Yes, Dr. Jaime.
Like you said, you're following in huge footsteps with these two past presidents. So and it's something that you're able to continue.
Some big shoes to fill. Both Dr. Jaime and Dr. Garcia have some big feet. I'm telling you. Don't tell her I said that. But it's some big shoes to fill. But working with them for the past six plus years, and still having conversations with them on a regular basis, really helps, because they have some insight that is truly invaluable. And like I said, that passion, that commitment to the community is unparalleled. And it really is just an honor. All this is like a dream, to be honest with you. And I'm still waiting for someone to pinch me and wake me up.
Maybe the heat will wake you up one of these days. Our nursing program is something that, a lot of students, kind of fight to be in, because it's such a, it's a program that, produces a lot of, successful nurses, and they, a lot of them might not serve here in the Valley, but, they go elsewhere and serve. But can you tell us a little bit about, because working in education, I work at the high school, something that, I see now that I didn't see when I was going to high school was we focus, we try to focus a lot on not only sending kids to colleges or universities, but making sure that there's an area where they can do like technical, like with cooking, welding, all these things. But, is nursing, and there's other, programs at IVC that aren't 100%, making sure that somebody goes to the next level, but they get a certificate and they're able to get a job and be productive. Can you tell us about other programs that you guys have in IVC?
You know what? We have so many programs. One for transfer, for those students who want to go on to the UCs and the CSUs. But we have a lot of technical educational programs: nursing, post, the police academy, fire, welding, electronics, construction. We have so many, and those jobs. One, the beauty of those opportunities, those jobs stay local. For the most part, if you graduated with a nursing degree, you're going to probably work here, hopefully forever. Same with the welding and so forth. Those are great jobs. It impacts the community almost immediately. There are so many times that we have had conversations with business people in the community, and it's like they can't find talent. They just can't get enough. And then when they hire from the outside, it's a hit or miss. They may come and they may stay 2 years, they may stay a year, but now you're in the same boat. So we really want to create those local opportunities, feed the job market, particularly with the lithium. We're the Lithium Valley. We call that the white gold of the Valley. We need to make sure we support that industry, because if they come here, or when they come here and they don't have the talent, there's a strong possibility they may not want to stay for too long, because they just don't have the talent. Yeah,
and we something that's always said when we talk about the lithium is that everybody wants to make sure that we keep it in house. The jobs, the production, everything stays in house. But like you said, like if we don't have the people who are ready and know how to do these jobs, then how are we expecting, to keep them here if, nobody's going to want to come here and train somebody, spend the money and train them, and maybe they go somewhere else and work for somebody else. But if they're already, a school or something else that's going to train them here so that they're ready for when the lithium does come, the lithium production does come, that's a good way to, make sure that, we're ready for them when they come.
And I think, and it's another thing I've heard is my experience, I think one thing that since I came from Chicago, I couldn't commute back and forth. Some people come here and they work here and they live in San Diego, they work in LA, and they go back and forth. When you're in that situation, it's hard to have a true, you're not grounded here. So you're not reinvesting your dollars here. You're not supporting. And then, of course, when the first opportunity opens up close to home, what are you going to do? And that's one thing about our whole Measure B is we want to make sure we build the infrastructure to support this new industry. So, and within Measure B, we want to have a complete lithium lab. We already got 3 programs approved: instrumentation technician, plant operator, and lab technician, all for lithium. So we got those approved. Those will start, I want to say, in the fall of 2023. But we want to continue to build on it, because once the company's here, we want to make sure we have a strong workforce ready for them.
Yeah. Hey guys, sorry for the interruption, but I want to take this time and thank my sponsors. I want to thank my friends Camilo, Jake, Eric Ortega. I want to thank Eddie Lopez from Roots Creative, Ms. Norma Galindo, IID Director representing Division 5 and serving the entire Imperial Valley. Will Torres from Valley Sports Network, your Imperial Valley source for sports. I want to thank Sergio's Tacos and Hot Dogs. With 8 years of experience serving the Imperial, San Diego, and Yuma counties with Mexicali-style hot dogs and taquizas, contact Sergio at 760-562-0057 or look for Sergio's Tacos and Hot Dogs on Facebook. I want to thank Eric Reyes from Los Amigos de la Comunidad, empowering communities together. Finally, I want to thank David Gastelum. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure you contact David. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience, and he'll teach you along the way in one of the most important investments of your life. Contact David at 760-235-9576 or look for David Gastelum on Facebook. All right, guys, well, now back to the show. So tell us, you already mentioned Measure B, so tell us a little bit about, about the measure, like, what's it about, how's it going to impact the voter? Like, what is the voter going to have to give up or contribute to for it to be a thing?
Measure B is really about the college. About 2-3 years ago, the college embarked on a 10-year master plan, or actually a 9-year master plan, a 2030 master plan. And we basically did a full assessment of all the campus needs, the infrastructure needs. We researched the community. We talked to various folks from the community sector, the police, post, fire, city officials, business persons, across the whole county. And we came up with a plan on how we can meet some of the gaps within the county. Within Measure B, the signature program will be like an emergency response, public safety, regional public safety center. What that entails is we'll have posts, we'll have our police academy, we'll have our fire academy, we have our EMS, we'll have some components of our nursing and so forth, but all the things that's around emergency management and public safety will be housed there. Right now, many of our law enforcement and firefighters and EMS folks, they all get training outside the county. So what happens is, in talking to the sheriff, Fred Miramontes, he said they spend about $20,000 per officer to get trained in Riverside. Having those local resources on site is going to save the county thousands and possibly millions of dollars over time, because now you don't have to pay for travel. You don't have to pay for room and board. You don't have to pay for food and so forth. You don't have to pay. You're not paying a premium for the use of the training facilities, because of course, if it's local, IVC is not trying to make a profit off the county. That's never has been our goal. Our goal is to make sure we support the infrastructure of the county. And then plus the key point is, our own students have to travel to complete some of their trainings and their certification. Which can be cost prohibitive, because some students have to pay anywhere between $1,000 or $1,500 just to be in a program with their uniforms and so forth. So if it's local and we have it all, if they can complete their whole series of training here, that's going to save the students millions of dollars. And also, it's not going to, if I have to come out with, say, $2,000 and I don't have it, I'm probably not going to I'm not going to take that major. So I may go into something that I can afford. Now I just impact that workforce in that area. So that's some of the things that's going to come out in Measure B. It will cost the taxpayer roughly about 3 cents per $100. What that is about assessed value of their homes. So it's about, for a $100,000 home, it's going to be about $25 to $30
a year.
A year, yes, a year. So if it's a $300,000 home, it's going to cost about less than $100 of assessed value. So that is the con. But I think at the end of the day, you're investing in the college, you're investing in the community. That money will come back to the community via job, via tax revenue, via not sending people into another county. So the county and other agencies, they can reinvest those dollars back into the community in a more meaningful and beneficial manner. So that's our signature program, but we have so many other things. IVC we're celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. Mm-hmm. So in many of our facilities, even though we have done a great job in upgrading them now, many of our facilities are very old. And right now, some of our AC units just go down in the middle of the summer. Yeah. And trust me, not having AC in the summer is not a good thing. And it's kind of hard to learn in a class that's 100 degrees. Yeah. So those are things, basic maintenance of the campus, as well as we want to build, like I said, a lithium lab to support this new industry, which will also create more jobs and opportunities for future students. So those are some of the components that we want to get out of this grant.
Yeah, and talking to, especially here in Calexico, there's a, our PD is really, small. We need more police officers. Mm-hmm. Talking to the past police chief, and I feel like it's a common thing when you're hiring a police officer, you want somebody that knows the community. Mm-hmm. So you want somebody that's from the valley, or at least from the perfect role will be somebody that's from the city that they want. But if it's somebody from the valley, you kind of you're going to lean towards hiring them because they know the people, they know the environment. So if we have a school that's going to have the police academy and train them here, and because sometimes when they go away for the police academy, they'll meet somebody over there. Yes. They'll stay over there. And it's a common thing.
It's common. Yeah. It's very common. Yeah. And there is something about, you got to have a love for the community. Mm-hmm. You have to, to me, I think that is, even when I'm interviewing people, yes, if you come from out of the area, whatever, I got to feel that passion. You got to feel that passion for the community. I can't serve you if I don't love the community. I don't love the people I serve. And it's organic if you're here. Mm. It's really, truly organic. If you're here and you went through, you went to IVC, you graduated from IVC, you went to Calexico High School or whatever, you already have that natural, I love the community. I'm gonna do what's in the best interest of the community. Yeah. And that's what we want to do. And that's the beauty of our technical programs is the students that do go in those programs, they actually stay here, they work here, they contribute to the community, and so forth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's not only the police department, but it's fire, mm-hmm. which even here in Calexico, that's a need. You're focusing on a lot of the needs that the valley has when it comes to those professions, and you're looking towards the future when it comes to lithium. Mm-hmm. So it's a win-win any way you look at it. And like you mentioned, if you have a home that's valued at $400,000, it's like less than $100 or
400, probably about 100. So it's about $25 to $30 per assessed value of 100,000. So 300,000, you're looking at about $100 a year. Which to me is, put like this, I'm going to vote yes on the ballot.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to, when it comes to candidates, but when it comes to something like this, I think that, voting yes on this measure, would benefit, our communities. And in reality, like if you look at it, if you're a parent, it might be something that your son or daughter might be, going into in the future, becoming a police officer, firefighter, going into lithium. Not that lithium is going to become a thing here in the valley. It's going to help everybody in the community if you really think about it.
Yeah, and I think another thing is a very important thing to note is small Imperial Valley College, out of 1,300 plus community colleges in the country, is a top 10. Wow. According to ASPEN Institute, which our former President Obama said, this is the Community College Oscars Award. That's how they could. This is the cream of the crop. This is something that you can't buy. I can't give Aspen money and say, put us as a top 10. This is something that they are research arm. They look for trends. They look for colleges that have strong completion rates, strong learning outcomes, strong workforce development outcomes, strong equity outcomes, and strong completions. So they look at this and they look at it over time. And they're trying to find out which institution is excelling in these categories. IVC is a top 10. Yeah. So your money is going to get put to good use because we're doing a lot of things right. Because to be in that classification, top 10 in the nation, and really, we just had our visit a couple of weeks ago. I think we have a good, strong chance of being number one. Definitely in the top 3. Because we're doing some amazing work. Yeah. So it's something that our community can brag about.
I think a lot of the times when there's these kinds of measures on the ballot, what people are a little bit worried about is oversight. How they're making sure that the money's being well spent. It's not misspent here or there, because especially in I can't say for a fact, but here in Calexico, a lot of people feel that when it comes to a measure, a bond that is passed here locally in the city, sometimes they feel like, it's not, all of a sudden, we're short here, we're short there, and things change when it comes to, materials, the value, So, oversight, who's in charge, or who can people go and see when they feel like, the money's not being spent?
That's a good question. This is a general obligation bond. We will have a citizens oversight committee that's going to be responsible. That's going to basically provide. It's independent, not IVC folks. It's going to be an independent citizen overview committee that's going to oversee the usage of these funds. They usually meet about once a month. We already had one for our previous bond. They meet about once a month. They look at the financials, look where money is going here and there. They audit it and everything, so to make sure that everything is the monies are being spent accordingly. No money, no salaries will be paid out of this bond. No faculty, no administrative, no staff salaries outside of salaries supporting the exact usage of the bond. This isn't our first bond, but we just continue to, we had a bond, Measure J, that we spent wisely, and we built a lot of great things to get the college where it is today. And this is just taking us to the next level.
Yeah, and you mentioned, from when I graduated to now, the campus is completely different. There's a lot of changes, positive changes. Yeah. And like you said, this isn't your first bond that you've passed, and you've spent the money wisely. But yeah, I think oversight is a huge something that's always on people's mind when they're deciding whether to vote or not, yes or not on a bond, because it does happen, and it's obviously people do, it's coming out of their pockets, so they want to make sure that it's being spent where they say it's being spent. Yes. But making sure that that's a good thing when you say no salaries are going to be paid with this bond. Yes. It's obviously people who are working on this project, they or hired for the specific project, then obviously they're going to be paid from that. But
and I think another thing that's important, which the Measure J, our previous bond, supported, was the expansion of our nursing facility. Living through this pandemic really exposed us in so many ways. If you talk to all the hospitals in the area, they all are short in nursing. They all are short in LVNs and healthcare professionals, because we don't have the capacity. We don't have the infrastructure to support it. Our previous bond supported the expansion of our nursing program. So we can start closing that gap, that employment gap, which is incredible. we have our baby boomers getting older and older. We need to have healthcare professionals in these seats, or it's only going to cost the county more money because they're paying for these traveling nurses, which I understand it costs anywhere between $200,000 and $300,000. Where you can have a local nurse who, again, what we talked about is someone who cares about your family and they know that you're the neighbors. Yeah. So it's a different, and you're going to pay one third of that price. So that what our previous bond measure did, gave us the ability to expand our nursing program, have some of the latest technology. We hope to increase capacity with this as it goes through all the regulations and approval processes. But that's what we have to do. And the same thing with this measure is to make sure that we add capacity to some of these key infrastructural programs.
Yeah, and you mentioned the nursing program, and it's really. Because I have friends that, were part of the nursing program that are now, nurses that during the pandemic, I saw them like posting, all these pictures and, giving, even, I would reach out to them like, hey, what do we have to do to make sure that we're safe? And, they would kind of like, so it's really important to have people that are in your community that are, in that field because, you obviously know that they're going to care for you better than somebody that's, but just traveling, passing by, and a lot of those traveling nurses, made way more money than people, and even that kind of made our local nurses become traveling nurses because like, man, there's more money in that. So if we don't have the need, then we won't have to spend or entice other nurses to become traveling nurses.
Exactly. So all of it ties together, and this is building our community and making it.
It trickles down to a lot of the positions and jobs here in the community, and especially those in lithium that hopefully will come soon and they'll stay here. And they'll create jobs, they'll create more money for the community. But I think it's hard for people to see the big picture. And you being here and talking about it kind of make sure that people see the big picture. You paint the picture, so it makes it easier for people to understand where the money's going to, how it's going to really help the community, how it's going to impact positively the community. So if you ask me, it's a yes on Measure B.
Great. Well, I appreciate that, and we appreciate this. It's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be a game changer for the community. And the stronger we can make our educational institutions, the stronger we make our community. And that's at the end of the day, that's what we're all about.
Yeah, and especially having a son that's 14, pretty soon is gonna graduate high school, and obviously we want them to go somewhere and study, but knowing that there is quality education and programs here in the Imperial Valley, gives you that peace of mind that no matter what they decide or where they get accepted or whatever, if they decide to stay home and study here, there's quality education and programs that that'll make them successful and productive in our community. So
and roughly about 60% to 70%, give or take, of our high school graduates go to IVC at some point, which one thing that ASPEN said was really incredible, because you don't see that in other communities. So we're really a true pillar in the community. I think it's just, to me, it's a wise decision to continue to invest in something that has such a huge impact on so many people's lives.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Johnson, anything that I didn't ask you or talk about that you want to mention about Measure B or just Imperial Valley in general?
I would say the whole community wish us luck on getting Measure B, and hopefully we get that approved. We're asking for your support. Go out and vote November 8th, regardless. But of course, I hope that you vote yes on Measure B. And also just wish us luck on the ASPEN Institute. The ASPEN Institute will make a final decision in the spring. And your very own college, Imperial Valley College, may be #1 in the whole nation. So my fingers and toes are crossed. And then by that, if we do win, if we are the #1 institution, they will give us a $1 million grant.
Oh, wow.
So that's a added benefit.
Yeah.
But I think the beauty of it is just to say that your community college, which IVC is truly your community college, is doing great things, and we're going to continue that great work for you. Yeah,
and learning this, that even being number 10 is an accomplishment in itself. I didn't know that if it wasn't for you, but it goes to show that the Imperial Valley College is doing some amazing things, and in reality, they're doing them quietly and not really boasting about it, because it's something that's normal to you, to the college, where like it's just business as usual, making amazing things that with the students and the community, that you really don't need to make it a huge thing, but being number 10 in itself is an accomplishment. Yeah, absolutely, yeah, for sure. Well, Dr. Johnson, thank you for coming down and talking to us about Measure B. I really appreciate you coming down and enjoying the conversation. It's the first time I met you, and I was following Dr. Garcia, and then you came on board and you kept the ball rolling. So thank you for all the things that you've done for IVC and for our students in our community. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much, Jose. I really appreciate you. Thank you for this opportunity.
No, you're welcome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening or watching, and don't forget to vote November 8th. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.